This is for the Module 6 discussion. For the Chapter 7 questions, I chose 1 and 2, and for the Chapter 8 questions, I chose 2 and 4. The first question asks me, why are so many stereotypes negative? Are these stereotypes harmless or dangerous? Explain your answer. What impact do stereotypes have in your life? So I would say that these stereotypes are negative because they often lead to more stronger feelings of prejudice, which is harmful to others. On page 209, the text says that stereotypes are often seen as the forerunners of prejudice, and when our stereotypes become strong enough, they turn into prejudice. I would say that a big impact the stereotypes have in my life is the stereotypes of Latinas being really loud, and that women are often sometimes lazy or incompetent in certain areas. And I think that that's impactful because if you grow up in a community that kind of feels that way or acts that way towards you, you sort of think of it yourself, and it's harder to grow out of that. Question 2 says that ethnocentrism is often linked to patriotism. Is it possible to be patriotic without being ethnocentric? Explain your answer. I would say that it is possible because patriotism is more a love or like loyalty towards your community or your country or like anything that you identify with. I think that is something, it like involves like a deep love to like the values and culture that you have, and it kind of celebrates how like the achievements that your country or your community has made, whereas ethnocentrism it's more adopting a feeling of superiority, like you're better than another culture, you're better than another country or community. It's like when you judge others instead of being able to support and understand your differences. So I do think, however, that patriotism, if like used to a certain extent, can lead to feelings of ethnocentrism. So I think that's a big thing. Chapter 8 questions. The second question asks, which approach to conflict do you typically use? Is that consistent, contextually driven? I would say that I don't have something that I typically use. I think it is very contextual. Like it depends on the situation that I'm in. It depends if I'm in a conflict with, let's say, my parents, where I would choose to like accommodate to them, or like to avoid that conflict, I would choose to back down because I have a certain level of like respect to whatever they believe, whether I believe that they're wrong or not. However, I can be a very competitive person, so I think that is something that I also, in certain situations, that I would use. Question 4 asks, is the concept of forgiveness a practical one? Why or why not? Does it depend on the situation? If so, how? Does a person have to be religious for this concept to have any value? I feel like it is kind of practical to forgive, but also remember that you don't have to forget. You don't have to ignore your feelings, but forgiveness is kind of for yourself. So I think that's a big thing that I was raised with. I think that that level of practicality or usefulness kind of depends on the situation that you're in. And if it's like less severe, then maybe it is better to just forgive, to have a better understanding of each other. But in more serious situations, I think like forgiveness can be very hard for one, for like your own self, because you cling on to those feelings of resentment. I don't think that someone really has to be religious for this concept to really have value. I'm not a very religious person, but my family is, and however, I have seen that my family or my parents can actually, and depending on the situation, right, be either more or less than forgiving than I am. So I think it really depends. I think forgiveness when you're not a very religious person, for personally, I feel like it's more of a rationalizing thing, like who am I doing this for? So I think that's a big thing. And yeah, okay.